I actually ended up where I am today in Scouts because of Rotary. And so I think it's very fitting that this was the theme the year that I was Rotary president, because it's how I ended up where I am, and it's how I found myself again after a horrible work experience. After I left the Hospice and Palliative Care Foundation, I had spoken to the Rotary Club of Spartanburg, and I had put on LinkedIn that I was open to work, looking for a job in development or marketing. And a member of the Spartanburg Rotary Club reached out and said, "Hey, Maggie, you don't have a clue who I am, but I saw that you were looking for work, and I remember you from coming to speak to my Rotary Club. Will you come in and talk to me? We have an opening up to be our district manager for Cherokee, Spartanburg, and Union counties." And he sent me the job description, and I was like, "I don't really think that's what I want to be doing." He was like, "No, just come talk to me. Just come talk to me." And I was like, "Okay." So I go in, and it wasn't just a chat, it was a full on interview with half the board of directors and the district committee and other people there. And he was like, "Well, we'll give you a call in a couple of weeks." And I think an hour later, he called me and said, "I don't want you to come be my district manager. I want you to come run my marketing and development department." So I got this job because of Rotary, because someone heard me talking about how passionate I was about hospice and palliative care when I worked with Julie Bright. And here I am today. So I'm going to kind of segue into the story about the Palmetto Council. This is a picture of our current staff. This was at one of our events. I like this picture because we all look happy. And, we had just put off a big fundraiser. And so scouting has definitely become like a family to me. I grew up wanting to be a Boy Scout. I grew up in a neighborhood of all boys, and they were all in scouting. And I went to, nothing against the Girl Scouts, but I went to 2 Girl Scout meetings, and I went home and said, "I don't want to go back." And my mama said, "Okay." They just weren't doing the same things that all the boys in the neighborhood were doing in terms of shooting BB guns and doing archery and going camping. So now being an organization, getting to work there every day, it means a lot. So my boss, the one who hired me, that heard me speak, he's in the white shirt there. And then that's just the rest of us. So what is the Palmetto Council? The Palmetto Council is the local scouting program. So for Cherokee, Spartanburg, Union, York, Chester, and Lancaster counties, for those who might not be familiar with scouting, we are divided up. So you have national, and they're housed in Texas, and they're kind of the overseers for program development, insurance, and that sort of thing. And then we're all divided into local councils. So we're the Palmetto Council for York, Chester, Lancaster, Cherokee, Spartanburg, and Union counties. If you could live in Greenville, Anderson, Pickens, Oconee, Seneca, all the way down to Newberry, that's the Blue Ridge Council. There's 5 councils total in South Carolina. Down toward Columbia, that's the Indian Waters Council. They go all the way to Myrtle Beach, and then so on and so forth. So we're all divided into councils, and we are the local arm of the National Boy Scouts of America. Now, coming up February 8th of 2025, will be known as Scouting America, but we are the official local arm of Scouts, and we provide the programming. So youth ages 5 to 21, we have programs for, and I will talk more about that in just a second. We also accept boys and girls now. It's not just for boys, hence the name change to Scouting America. And this is just one of my favorite photos of this little girl is from Indian Land, South Carolina. And this is her shooting a bow and arrow. And that's just my favorite picture that I've ever taken at any event, because it just shows her dedication and the passion in her eyes of wanting to hit that target board. There. So altogether, in the 6 counties that we serve 3,300 youth. And of course, that varies from time to time. Right now, starting next Monday, we're going into recruitment season. So that number will go up before some youth who have aged out drop off for the year. We actually have 1,100 volunteers right now at the moment. So we rely on those 1,100 volunteers to run the programming for that 3,300 youth. They are the backbone of the program. At the council, we are the support. So, we'll go into units that need assistance. We kind of fund everything. But in terms of running the day-to-day program with the scouting meetings. It's those volunteers. They can be parents, guardians, grandparents, aunt, uncles, anyone that we rely on to do that. We have over 120 units or 120 programs. So that's between the Cub Scouts, the Scouts BSA. So Cub Scouts is, which I'll talk more about in a minute, is for smaller kids. Those are the cute little ones you see running around in the blue uniforms. They're 5K through 5th grade. And then we have Scouts BSA, that's 6th grade to 12th grade. And then we also have programs like Exploring and Venturing, which I will talk about more. Exploring is probably my favorite program that we have in the Palmetto Council right now. 52 charter partners. A charter partner is someone who basically sponsors that organization. So you probably recognize that a lot of scouting units will meet at a church, or they might meet, at a local scout hut. They're all sponsored by somebody. So a lot of times they meet at a church because their charter partner is that church. There are even Rotary clubs who charter scout packs and scout troops. We serve 15 school districts. So during times when we're going into recruitment, like next week, we will visit every elementary school across our 6 counties. I don't even know how many that is. I can just tell you after 4 weeks, it's very tiring. And we will all have laryngitis and not be able to talk from talking so much. And like I already said, we serve 6 counties. So who we serve. This slide looks messed up for some reason. It did not look messed up earlier, so I apologize. The mission of the Boy Scouts of America, and this is for any council, no matter where you are, is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetime by instilling in them in the values of the Scout Oath and Law. Mr. Ken, do you remember the Scout Oath and Law? Would you like to recite it for us if you do?
I could do it, but I'm not going to embarrass myself.
Okay, you don't have to. The Scout Oath and Law.
Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Very good. Very good. Awesome. And then you also have the Scout Oath, which talks about like all my duty. I will do my best to. I can't even remember it now that I put myself on the spot. Hold on. I know it backwards and forwards if I hadn't had to say it. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout Law, to help other peoples at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. So that's what we believe in the scouting program. You can see that all together in Cub Scouts, we serve 2,000 kids. And Exploring is growing, and I'm going to talk more about Exploring. Venturing is not huge in the Palmetto Council, but for Scouts BSA, we have almost 1,100 youth. And then we also offer community programs through our facilities that we offer kids who are not necessarily Scouts. They come from the Boys and Girls Club or the Kids Club after school programming. We recently worked with one of the United Ways for their kids programming for the summer. So that's where that number comes from. Again, Cub Scouts are little kids. Scouts BSA are older kids. Exploring is a phenomenal program that I didn't even know was a thing until I started working for scouting. And it can be a sheriff's department, a fire department, a manufacturing plant, a bank, a hospital, you name it. These kids who are 14 to 20 can apply for that program, become an Exploring Scout, and then they're going to learn hands-on skills about that trade. So you can see up here in the corner, this is the Union County Sheriff's Office. And they are basically just like a police cadet. They go to events, manage crowd patrol. They get to go on ride-alongs. They don't carry guns or anything like that. Fire departments, if TKK Fire Department is in the process of getting one, they'll go help fight fires, learn all the skills in hopes that after they graduate from high school or even college, they will go back and work in that field. Spartanburg Regional has a pretty vast exploring program at several of their hospitals, and we are growing it every day. And it's amazing because these youth are the little African-American girl up here in the corner. Before she started exploring, she thought that she She was like, I don't really want to do this, but my mom, she really wants me to take part. And she was really shy, but she has totally blossomed and realized that she wants to be a police officer. We have another kid at one of the hospitals. He was like, I really want to be a nurse when I get older. I think he went to like the first 3 sessions and he was like, yeah, this is not for me. And he went over to the fire department and to an EMS exploring unit and decided that that's probably more of his speed than being a nurse. So it really gives them an opportunity to hone in on what they might want to do. And maybe they graduate and they don't go back to that field, but at least they had the experience. And they're learning what they want to do at an early age before they go off to college or trade school or graduate high school. So last year we had a really successful year in the Palmetto Council. We were recognized as the top council in the state of South Carolina. We were number 1 in unit growth for South Carolina and the 19 service territories in our territory, but also we were number 4 in the nation for unit growth last year. So out of all the councils, being recognized for that was really big. And then market share, for the number of kids that we have that are age appropriate to be in Scouts, we have the largest market share across the state of South Carolina and in the 19 service territories that are kind of within our realm. And that goes all the way from coastal South Carolina all the way up to Pennsylvania. So we had almost 1,000 new youth join. We added 20 new units. That's what put us up in that number 4 range. We train leadership development skills are a huge part of what we do in scouting. And so we give our scouts every opportunity to go and learn how to be better leaders, more productive in society. So we train them SEALs. That stands for Scouts Excited About Leadership Skills. There's also a SEALs program for Sea Scouts. I didn't talk about Sea Scouts because we don't have Sea Scouts here, but that's for scouts that are really interested in sailing and that sort of thing. We used to have one on Lake Wylie. We don't have one anymore. NYLT, that's National Youth Leadership Training. They have to complete SEALs before they do NYLT. And then 17 of our leaders went through Wood Badge. And that is a leader-specific training that we encourage all of our leaders to go through. We donated 47,000 pounds of food to local food banks during Scouting for Food. If you live in Rock Hill, kind of the York, Chester, Lancaster area, there's a chance you've got little door tags on your door before if your neighborhood's on our list, asking for food donations. We do it that way over on this side. And then for Cherokee Spartanburg Union, every unit takes food donations differently. We awarded 2 Silver Beavers kin. So we do one for Spartanburg Cherokee Union and then one for York, Chester, and Lancaster. We're kind of divided down that line. And then, of course, we raise money by, you probably go, starting in September, you're going to go to Lowe's in your local area or Tractor Supply or Sam's Club, maybe even Walmart. You're going to see some cute little boys and girls selling popcorn. That popcorn goes to fund all of their adventures, helps send them to camp. And they also do the same thing in the winter by selling discount cards. With all of our leftover popcorn that doesn't sell, we donate it. Last year, we donated it to popcorn emergency room staff. So we went to every hospital across our 6 counties and donated back with popcorn. One of my favorite things that we do is we award Albert K. Fretwell Educator Awards, one to every school district, and we recognize an educator in every school district. So each of the 15, plus a private, plus a charter school, as an outstanding educator. And we go to their local schools, to the board meetings, and recognize them. Albert K. Fretwell was our 2nd Chief Scout Executive for National BSA, and he was a professor at Columbia University in education, but it was his background and his methodology that really turned Scouts into what it is today. And that is, we're an extracurricular program with the goal of helping our students do better in the classroom. So you can look at any data given that if you take a Scout and a non-Scout in the classroom, and because of all the extracurricular Scouts do, the training, the leadership development, the citizenship and society stuff that they do better in the classroom. 10 out of 10 times. It's proven because they have adults who believe in them. They have positive reinforcement. They're not getting in trouble. They're not being disruptive. And so we believe that any scout should have the ability to be a scout if they want to, because of what Albert K. Fretwell said, that being a scout will help you in the classroom. We had 75 scouts who earned the rank of Eagle, and that was actually lower for us last year. It kind of ebbs and flows based on the age range of groups of kids that you have. The year before we had 120. So we typically go from about 120 to probably 70, just depending. We have 40 local community partners. They can be anyone. They don't just have to support us financially either. The Spartanburgers, they're going to be the new the baseball team in Spartanburg. They're a new community partner. Carowinds is a huge supporter of us. I call Carowinds, me and their youth services lady, we talk once a week. We have a standing meeting of how we can do more programming for scouts. I can call her and say, hey, Shannon, I need a day for our kids to come and play in the water park or do this, and Carowinds takes care of it, which is really phenomenal. They also do a lot for Girl Scouts. 2 scouts received the NISA Outstanding Eagle Scout Award. So NISA stands for National Eagle Scout Award. And NISA is also an organization for Eagle Scouts. So previous Eagle Scouts that have shown dedication to their community in their career field and giving back can be awarded that award. We award 2 of those a year. 29,250 community service hours performed by our Eagle Scouts and their Eagle Scout service projects. That's just Eagle Scout service projects. When you include all service projects, I mean, we're above probably 50,000 hours for what they do on a given year. We elected our first female chief to the Scout Ukalage. So Ken, that is Order of the Arrow. We are Scout Ukalage 270 in the Palmetto Council. And we had 200 flags in our Flags for Heroes event, which we doubled this year to 400. So that was really exciting. And we are ranked number 1 in the percentage of female scouts we have across 19 council service territory that sees South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. We even had a scout who got recognized by the Secretary of State for his Eagle Scout service project. He is a phenomenal kid. Me and my boss just got done writing him recommendations to Yale, Princeton, Harvard, Berkeley, Brown, any of the Ivy League schools that he wants to go to. He has been offered a full ride. So he's phenomenal. How are we funded? A lot of people ask, like, how do you fund scouts? What gives you your money? We don't want any scout, if they can't afford to pay, we don't want them to have to pay for it. So we work really hard. So you can kind of see, I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but you can kind of see how we're divided up. 89% of our funding goes back into our programs. And we only 1% of our funding is what we're using for like our admin salaries and to support our office staff. But 89% goes back into programs. We have a scout shop. That's where all the kids go to get their uniforms and everything they need. If they can't afford it, that's okay. We have a scout closet that they can literally just walk into and get what they need. We have 2 facilities besides our main office in Spartanburg that we use for programming, but also to give our scouts somewhere to go. We had a camp up in Saluda, North Carolina that flooded in 2018 when a really big rainstorm came through, and we lost that camp. We're in the process of selling it right now. And we're very fortunate that we did not have to sell our camp. Some councils had to sell their camp recently. We don't have to sell ours, but we can't use it. So we're in the process of selling it. But we have 2 facilities. One is called the Glendale Outdoor Leadership School. This is an old Methodist church. You walk in, there's a big rock climbing wall. They camp there, they mountain bike. If you're in Spartanburg and you've heard about the new park that they're fixing to put in Glendale Shoals along the riverbank, this location is right across the street from that. So we are very lucky that that's going to be a part of our community in Glendale now in Spartanburg. After school programming, if you wanted to have team building exercises, you just call our program director. He'll come and do it. You want to go kayaking, canoeing, we'll lead your trips for you. And it's not just scouts, it's anyone. We took a group of teachers for a team building activity down the Broad River the other week because they wanted to have a team building kayaking lesson. So we did that. Then we have a new camp in Gaffney, was actually on the York Gaffney line, called Camp Connolly Clark. This will never be a fully outfitted camp. We don't want it to be, but we use it for camping, fishing, team building, hiking, shooting sports. A lot of our Order of the Arrow events are out there. Order of the Arrow is, I usually talk a lot about it, but since Ken brought it up, Order of the Arrow is basically like a scouting fraternity for scouts who show exceptional rank and exceptional community service and kind of want to give back. So it's basically like a scouting fraternity is how we like to describe it. We are the only scouting council in the nation, and this has gotten a lot of attention recently, to have a charter school that has implemented scouting into their curriculum. So every kid in that school is a scout, and they use scouting as their character development program within the school. So that school is Gocher, and it is in Gaffney, right on the line of Gaffney and Spartanburg County. They are doing phenomenal things there, and we could not be more proud that they chose us to be a community partner with. And those kids, they say the Scout Oath and Law every morning, just like they say the Pledge of Allegiance. And so those kids are going places. That school just opened last year, but what's it going to be like when these kids who started in kindergarten graduate from there and they've been scouts all 13 years they've been there. Nav, he was an Eagle Scout. He was our Scout of the Year for 2022. And then we had another Scout who was Scout of the Year for 2023. She's a phenomenal young lady too. She will be going to USC Columbia this fall to study chemical engineering. And Nav is currently at the Governor's School in Hartsville for math and science. 40 Scouts attended National Jamboree. That's kind of they have it every 3 years roughly. And that's just a big event up at the Summit Beckel Reserve in West Virginia, where they just have a good old time and do scouting things. Peter Sam, you already saw him. He's who won the scouting award. His mom is actually our district chair for Spartanburg Cherokee and Union. Down here, you can see the Wall That Heals. So the Wall That Heals rolled through Spartanburg last fall, and they asked our scouts to come do the candlelight tour and the candlelight visual. So they got to be a part of that, which was very moving. And then we also do a Breakfast with Santa event out at Goals. That's a really big hit. You can see some of the numbers here about what we did, that sort of thing. We had 400 last year. This year we have 550 going. Scouts that participated, they go to Myrtle Beach. They stay at Lakeside Campground and they clean up trash along the shores of Myrtle Beach. That's probably the favorite event of the year that they love to go doing. Again, Carowinds is so good to us. I can't even describe how good they are to us. And then we also do first aid training and CPR and AED. So we have a lot of local businesses that'll even call us and say, hey, can you come train my staff how to use an AED? I'm almost done, I promise. I'm just going to talk about this because if you live in the area, you might want to come to this event. Flags for Heroes is something we started in Spartanburg 2 years ago in 2023. We had the 200 flags. This past year we had 400. And then we have a flag retirement ceremony that we do where we retire an American flag and we have a speaker. We're doing it on 9/11 at Winthrop University by the Coliseum. So we'll have a field of flags there that have all been sponsored by individuals and companies. And then we'll be doing the flag retirement. So it's going to be really special. So September 11th at 6 p.m. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you. If you've never seen a flag retirement ceremony, this is something that Scouts do a lot of. And it's very, I had never seen one before until last year. And so it was very, very moving. This is just a picture of our Flags for Heroes event that we had in Spartanburg back in June. So we do it in a veterans park there. And those were 400 of the American flags that were out flying. I just like to show this picture because you never think you're going to drive by and see 400 flags in the middle of a field, right in the middle of a park, but you see it. And it's just very moving. We have a video on our website if you want to go watch the video as well. It's bsaflagsforheroes.org. And every flag has an adorned metal dog tag that we give to the families after the event. And it says, so this one is one for my stepdad. He was a pilot in the Air Force, and it says in honor of him. And then we gave that to him as like a keepsake. And this is a QR code that I didn't change the slide because I just did this presentation for the Indian Land Lunch Rotary Club. But that's a QR code that'll take you to the website and to the video for just to see what Flag Fair is all about. And this is the flag that we retired. This was a flag on top of the fire department next to our Glendale Outdoor Leadership School facility. So we like to do a flag that has meaning. If you ever have flags that need to be retired and you don't know where to take them, you can send them to me. You can send them to our office. We take flags all the time for people that we have. So that's just a little bit in a nutshell about the Palmetto Council. We do a lot. It's impossible to fit into 20 minutes of a presentation. I could talk and give you something to say about every single one of our scouts that we do. Again, I never thought that I would work in scouting. I prayed really hard that God would show me a path in life after I worked at the hospital system for 6 weeks and realized it wasn't for me. And it took me a while to find myself, but I am so appreciative to Rotary who opened this door and opened this opportunity to put me where I am today, because I wouldn't trade it. I work more than I've ever worked before in scouting. I don't have a straight 9-to-5 schedule. You know, I probably work 24/7 because I'm always on the clock, but I have never worked for an organization that cares more about their kids. And so I think Rotary, Rotary is a perfect example of that too. We all care for each other. And if I didn't have Rotary in my life, and now if I didn't have scouting in my life, I don't know what I would do, because every day is different. Every day is an inspiration. Yesterday I spent my whole Monday putting out fires. We had scouts stranded in Miami because of the hurricane trying to come home from sea base. And we had kids who were at summer camp that couldn't get home because the flights were delayed. So every day it's something. I am the development and marketing director, but ever since March, I have also been the CFO and chief problem solver, as they like to call me, when our assistant scout executive left. So I don't have the title, but I definitely do that work. I run all the product sales. So I get to be out in the field a lot, and that's the most encouraging thing. And when you have a kid we had one Eagle Scout, when she became a scout, she would not even order her sub at Subway or go through the drive-through and take her Chick-fil-A order. She would make her dad or mom order it for her. Not this past year, but the year before, she was our Scout of the Year for Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union, and she emceed the whole dinner. So in 5 years, she went from not being able to talk in public to emceeing a whole event. That's what scouting is about. And so that's why I wake up every day and do what I do. And that's why anyone on our staff wakes up every day and do what we do. So any questions? I know I talked a lot.
Awesome. Well, Maggie, that was fantastic for sure. Really great. And you're right. There's so many different areas of that to share, and brings back a lot of memories for a lot of us, I'm sure. So we don't have a lot of time for questions, but Ken put one in the chat about, you put a question about the percent of female scouts in your council. But before that, when did they start allowing girls to join the scouting? Was that?
Yeah, so the decision to let girls in was made in 2018.
Okay.
And so girls were allowed in, and we've exponentially grown since then.
Do you know about what the percent in your area is of girls?
We are 21% female right now.
Okay. And do they go along with Girl Scouts at all?
So in the Cub Scout packs, they're like together. We call it like a family unit. So they do all the same activities because their parents or guardians have to be involved. In the troop level, it splits out. So you have like a boy troop and a girl troop. So they're not together.
And what happens if there's not enough girls in an area to make a girl troop?
So we are combating that every day. Most of the time there's one within a drivable distance, but there are some key partner units that we're working with to get a girl troop started. And then BSA just announced we have a new pilot program they're doing where they will allow boys and girls to be in the same troop as long as you have enough leaders there. So we're trying that for the first time this fall. We'll see if it works or not. We are one of the pilot councils and we have 2 units who are involved in that study. So we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, Maggie, that was great. And I am sure if we have other questions for Maggie when we get together for social events too,